Hey guys, hope you all are having a good day. I do not like this camera placement at all. Let me fix that. I want to be like right in front of y'all. Sorry, guys. Anyways, we have a lot to talk about. If you were not here for the live that I did with Kyla this morning, then you definitely missed out on a lot. From that live, I actually uploaded here on YouTube, so you can watch that, but we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. But y'all, there is so much. There is some really big stuff happening. So we're definitely going to be chatting about it. But obviously, y'all know how it works. Before we get into that, I have to do the shameless brochures, and I actually have a surprise for y'all regarding the stuff that I promote. So let's just bear with me. First thing is 50 Words for Murder. It's a podcast that I have. You can listen to it anywhere podcasts are. If you want to get to it through the link in my bio, you can do so. JustinOnTikTok.com. Scroll down. You'll see this big 50 Words for Murder sign. Click on it. It'll take you to it free as Spotify, but you can subscribe to it anywhere you want. A lot of these episodes that we do, this one will be one of them ones that we do get over there. We put them there for y'all to be able to listen to there as well. Now, here's the surprise that I have for y'all, okay? So, y'all know that I've written 2 books, right? And we know that Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. For everybody, Mother's Day isn't a great thing, right? Like, I'm one of those people, you know, I'm going to definitely honor my wife and appreciate her. But for my own mom, we've been no contact for 5 years. And the fact that we've been no contact is why I wrote this book, Boundaries, which helps teach you basically a good way to speak to your kids. That was horribly, but basically what the book does, it allows you to tell your kids why you're no contact with a family in a way that doesn't vilify them, at the same time teaching them boundaries. That's not the surprise. Y'all knew that part. The other book, Surprise Are Okay, Secrets Are Not. This is something to help keep our kids safe, right? Teaching them that adults should not have kids keep secrets. There's a good Q&A in it. You can have age-appropriate conversations. But here's the surprise for both of these. I have never done a sale on any of this stuff, but because it's Mother's Day, between now and midnight on Sunday, Central Time, well, I think 11:30 is actually what it's set for. The books and actually everything in my merch store, from the pins, the merch, the books, everything is on sale. I put a pretty hefty discount on it, both on my website directly, which is you go to justontiktok.com. You'll see the books that'll get you to my merch store, but also on the TikTok shop. So if anybody wants to order, all those books do come signed. They will get shipped out. And like I said, that sale is going on everything until the 30th. Now, with that sorry, not until the 30th, till the end of Mother's Day. Sorry. Anyways, without further ado, let's get talking about what you guys want to talk about, which is Mica Miller and all the information that's interesting. You know, there's so much, guys, that I really don't even know where to start. So I think we'll start simple. Let's start with the cease and desist that was sent. Okay. Look, guys, I'm not going to read this entire cease, and I'm bringing it over here so I can see it bigger. I'm not going to read this entire cease and desist, but here's basically what they're talking about. And there's a few things that I take issue with when it comes to the cease and desist. And the first one is that this is not legal. Well, it might be legal, but it's not enforceable. You can't make a blanket, worldwide, nationwide cease and desist, post it out on the internet or the news sources, and that be something that can be done. Now, if he wanted to, this attorney, which is Dr. Russell B. Long, or not doctor, sorry, Law Office of Russell B. Long, if he wanted to send one to me, to London, to the other creators, Kyler, everybody that is covering this case, then he could do that. But it's just all around the world. This is not enforceable. It's very generic. I had my attorney look at it. She said that it was very poorly written. But here's the thing before I get into a couple things about it. Same attorney, my attorney, also looked at, on her own accord, dove into this particular attorney. And not that this has anything to do with Mica, this part in particular, but this attorney apparently had to defend his partner for some shady dealings. Okay, so same law firm. He had to defend his own partner, and I was sent the court case. I can probably post the court case. But yeah, it's just like birds of a feather, guys. Just, all I'm going to say to that. But basically what this is saying is that all the rumors that are circulating around social media, he completely denies. He did make a correction, and actually Micah's family made a correction too, talking about groomed his wife from the age of 10 years old. Couldn't be further from the truth. She moved to Myrtle Beach at 15. and married another man at 18, divorced at the age of 21. So he met her, though. What he leaves out here is that he met her at that 14, 15 range, which is what we've heard. So it's still grooming. I guess 15 is a little bit better than 10 in the mind of somebody who's into kids. I don't know. But in this case, like, it's okay because she was 14. She wasn't 10. Still not better, dude. Still not better. Anyways, I digress. But then in this thing, he has to do the classic JP move, which is let's attack Mica's mental health. Let's just go right after her mental health. Okay. So he then goes, it's come to light that Mica Miller struggled with mental illness, specifically bipolar disorder, which, by the way, I want you to keep in mind what we're talking about here, because I'm going to show y'all something really, really freaking interesting here in a few minutes. And if you're watching this on TikTok, I promise you when I get to this point, you're going to want to be on YouTube because you won't hear it here until I make another video. But that being said, bipolar disorder, which not properly managed, led to paranoid episodes and self-destructive behavior. Again, a second time in the same paragraph, Mica suffered from mental illness, and some reports made by her in the recent past are nonsensical. I've read all the reports. They look pretty damn sensical to me. The unfortunate reality underscores the importance of destigmatizing mental health issues and ensuring those affected receive appropriate support and treatment. Let's stop there for a moment, okay? Let's stop there, because what I've seen with this particular individual is, yeah, I completely agree. Mental health needs to be destigmatized. I was speaking with my half-sister's mother yesterday because I'm helping her produce a podcast on seniors with ADHD, which will be very interesting. I'll give more details about that once we get closer. But we were talking about her, and she got herself a therapist, which for a lot of people of the baby boomer generation, they don't get therapists because it was looked upon negatively. Gen X got a little bit better. Millennials got a lot better. And Gen Z, a lot of y'all are basically like, if you're not seeing a therapist, there's something wrong with you. And I love that because it's destigmatizing mental health challenges. It's allowing to recognize it, and it's taking that whatever it is, that stigmatization away from it. I think that's amazing. But here's the thing about JP Miller, because I've seen these sermons, so this isn't speaking out of turn at all. In his sermons, he's telling people to not talk to her, to not be there for her in this congregation, which is exactly the opposite of what somebody who really would have mental health issues needs. He basically puts her on an island by herself where he is the only person that can take care of her, that can handle her. And that is not what somebody who is suffering from mental health issues needs. Somebody who's suffering from depression and schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. That's not what they need, especially if they are an outgoing extrovert, which it seems that Mica was. So I'm glad that his attorney sees the importance of destigmatizing mental health issues, but I digress. They also go on to say that after a thorough investigation by Robeson County, North Carolina Sheriff's Office, it's been conclusively determined that Miss Miller's death was the result of a self-inflicted GSW. This finding completely exonerates Pastor Miller of any wrongdoing. Let's stop there. Does it, though? Does it? I'm not even going to get into right now, which we will talk about, the challenges is the word I'll use, with some of the evidence that we have surrounding the screenshots and videos and whatnot in the 911 call. I'll get into that. We will talk about that. But right now, let's just go for the sake of everything's cut and dry. She took her own life. Okay. Here's the things that we're going to say about that. Thing number one that we're going to say about that is the fact that even if Mica pulled the trigger, which is what it appears to be for everything, for all intents and purposes, let's focus on not who pulled the trigger, but why the trigger was pulled. On top of that, does that really exonerate Pastor Miller from any wrongdoing? Well, maybe in regarding her death, maybe in regarding directly manslaughter or murder, things like that. Yeah, he's, as far as we know, with the evidence that's been presented to us at this point in time, he is completely exonerated. He wasn't there. But what he's not exonerated from is things like slashing tires, stalking, harassing, the things that Mica have put in police reports. The police reports say that were there. So we're not saying anything that's not already out there. On top of that, my understanding is there could be investigations in regard to the bar he owns, as well as the church and the nonprofits, for issues with money laundering. If that becomes the case, and I don't know, financial crimes, financial issues, and if that becomes the case, that's the rumors that are out there, not saying that they're true, making it very clear that I'm not saying that it's true, because we have a worldwide cease and desist right here, so we got to be careful because it's worldwide. Anyways, I'm not going to say anything else about that. But there are other things that this man is definitely guilty of. And let's talk about real quick before I go to the next page on this. Let's just talk about real quick, okay? The fact that this man has committed adultery, openly admitted it. His ex-wife admitted it. We know that it's true based on the fact that he's admitted that he's admitted it. He and Mica both cheated on their spouses with each other. So, adultery there. We know that there's allegedly a relationship with Susie Skinner. We know for a fact that he was flirting with a waitress while he was still married, trying to get nudes from her, things like that. So we know that that's all true. Y'all, that is still emotional abuse. It's not illegal to commit adultery. It does go against somebody who is a man of God should be doing, because, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt, not commit adultery, whatever. I don't know. I'm not overly religious, but I'm just thinking that maybe my pastor shouldn't be committing adultery, but whatever. So there are still things that he could be legally exonerated from, but there are also things that he could be legally liable from. On top of that, I do believe that there is going to be a civil trial. No criminal action, that is wrongful death. And basically what that means is that if they're able to prove, depending on what type of evidence they have regarding Mica and regarding the binders and the information that's out there, if they can prove that JP's actions could have led Mica to take her own life, okay, then that could be a wrongful death suit. So just bear that in mind, okay? Let me go to the next page on this real quick, and I'll get it pulled up here. I got to find the next page. Where'd it go? Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. I clearly did not have the right thing pulled up there. Okay, but we got the second page up here, so let's go to that. We hereby demand. Oh, did I even finish the other one? Okay, yeah, sorry. He said these baseless claims and false reporting have caused immense distress and harm to Pastor Miller and his family. It needs to stop immediately. Well, you know what else causes immense distress and harm is bullying people, ostracizing people, cheating on people, any sort of emotional, financial abuse, that, having somebody involuntarily committed, that all causes immense distress and harm. But, well, again, what do I know? We hereby demand that all individuals and media outlets cease and desist from perpetuating these harmful falsehoods. Any further dissemination of defamatory and libelous statements will be met with legal action. A complete inventory of these defamatory and libelous statements has been conducted. Those that have to date violated Pastor Miller's right to live in peace and to mourn the passing of his wife respectfully will be held accountable. Okay, let's stop there. First of all, are there people out there saying things that are untrue? Yeah, absolutely. Are there people out there who are using legal documents, things that have been filed, things that are out there, going off the words of other people who know these people? Yeah, a lot of us are doing that too. On top of that, here's what he said. This is where it gets a little laughable, okay? A complete inventory of these defamatory and libelous statements has been conducted. Really? You and JP and who else went through the thousands and thousands and thousands of videos that are out there just from social media, the shares and the duets and everything that's out there. All right. They've gone through all of those in a few days. Well, let me tell you what. I'm going to say this right now. If they were able to go through an inventory, all these defamatory and libelous statements, they went through every video made about this guy, we need to get them on the Koberger case, y'all, to go through those documents, because they're like lightning fast with this shit. Okay? Lightning fast. Anyways, let's keep going. At least he gets to live. His right to live in peace. At least he gets to live. Those that choose to allow any previously posted or published false statements about Pastor Miller to remain in the public domain can expect to be served with civil litigation against them individually when appropriate. Their media organizations and managerial supervisors can expect the same. Let's stop there again. So let's say I did a video. Look, let me tell you something. As a TikTok creator, YouTuber, Instagram post, whatever, podcaster, everything that I do gets screen recorded. I know that. It doesn't matter whether it's by me, whether it's by somebody else, whether it's, somebody somewhere is screen recording you if you go on live. I'll just tell you that right now, especially if you have any type of following. Okay. So that means, let's say somebody posts a video that I did that I don't know that they posted, they screen recorded. You're going to come back and sue me again. It's all he talks about nonsensical reports from Mica. This C and D is nonsensical. Okay. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's keep going. We're almost done with this one, and we're going to move on. We all have the right to free speech, but not the speech which is false and harmful to the subject of speech. That's true. You do have your right to free speech, and you are not allowed to make defamatory statements that you're knowing are false. Okay. So part of this is that you have to have good reason as to why they're false. When you're looking at creators who are in media who are going off of all this true evidence, like police reports, court orders, medical examiners reports, videos posted by, from Mica or her family, documents for them, that's reasonable to believe that they're true. Okay. His sermons, for one, are another one. So it's a hard thing right there. Anyways, many media outlets have reached out to Pastor Miller for comment. We direct all future requests for comment directly to the attorney. He's not really made any comments. He's made one interview, which I have not had a chance to watch yet, but nevertheless. Although, let's go with a nice segue talking about the interview. And again, if you are currently watching this on YouTube, you are not going to see it, but you would see it if you were, or sorry, on TikTok, you wouldn't see it, but on YouTube, you would. So let's talk about this. A lot of people have asked me, I need to stop streaming this banner down here. By the way, real quick, since we're in the middle of this, if you don't already, this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. If this is your first time trying to grow this channel, if you're watching on TikTok, please hit that follow button, just, because we're going to give a lot of information. And if you are watching this on TikTok, by the way, this will be up on my page. Once it's done, you can go back and rewatch it as well. But this necklace, okay? So this is a really close up. JP Miller wore this necklace on the interview that he did. Now, this interview was done a couple of days after Mica's passing. Her body was released to him, which I have a big update on the body. If you haven't heard this already, I'll tell you that literally right after this. But he was wearing this necklace. I don't know what that means. It could be just this whole thing. I don't know, to try to. I feel like a lot of things with him is a game, But I wanted to show this to you guys because a lot of people have asked me about it, and from what we can tell, basically, this was her necklace. He wore it on an interview after. Her belongings were released to him. I'm guessing this necklace was part of that. And that's what I have. But let me give you this update real quick because I should have probably done this at the beginning. So a lot of people have been asking what has happened. Where is Mica's body? Does her family have it? Does JP have it? Where is it? And we have an answer to that. Mica's body has been cremated. Okay. Now, if you've heard, based on what we can understand from the family, he was denying the family to see see her remains. And apparently he made a deal where if they would sign consent to cremate, then they could see them. And we understand that the family has seen Mica's body prior to cremation, which believes me to tell you guys that I think it's safe to assume that they signed this paperwork. Now, will I say it was under duress and under mourning and grieving? Probably. But here's what I find very odd about it. I find very odd that you have somebody who was so adamant on cremation so quickly. The other thing that I find very peculiar, maybe I'm jumping a little bit ahead here, but you know what? I'm going to pause that part, and I'm not going to jump ahead yet. But let's just say that I find it interesting, and we're going to come back to it. The other thing is 3 days after Mica's passing, JP Miller was trying to get into her apartment. She was denied access. These two are separated. She had officially filed for divorce 2 days prior. So how he ends up, how a court couldn't have stopped that is beyond me, because it's clearly they were separated. They had been for a while. That could be shown probably with a lease and a whole bunch of other things. There have all these police reports filed against him from her. He's trying to get into her apartment. Why? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. I believe the answer is because he's trying to get documents to not make him look good, but that would make him not look good. But it all, why did the family not have her body? But now I'm going to go ahead and say it. Now there's no chance for an autopsy. In Robeson County, when they found her body, they didn't test. We know this based on the information. And if it's in Robeson County, if we're wrong, then release the information and tell us that we're wrong. Because as of right now, we have no evidence that there was any test to see if GSR was on her hands. We've seen no tests to show that there was an autopsy performed, no tests to show that there was any type of toxicology performed. And at this point in time, with her being cremated, it is impossible for those things to happen. Now, somebody did say in the comments, and I don't know, this goes out of my wheelhouse a little bit, so you take this for what it's worth, but somebody who seemed to be very knowledgeable said that oftentimes they'll save certain tissues, organs, et cetera, so that they can do testing later. Should that be needed? Okay. But, it's just, yeah. So there is, again, I think I said to you guys, there's a lot of stuff that I want to show y'all. And I'm really trying to think of what order I want to do this in because I wasn't planned out with it. But basically, you know what? I think I want to start with this. I'm going to start with the fisherman's interview because a lot of people have not heard that. A lot of people feel that it's suspicious, that it sounds wrong, it sounds weird. Things don't make sense. So let's play it. And I'm going to let y'all hear it. And while we do this, I'm going to scroll this at the bottom. Just so you know, if somebody or somebody is struggling, please call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you're in America, it's 988. You can call or text. It's in English and Spanish, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I will let this scroll while we do this because I think it's important to note this. But afterwards, we will discuss this. And big shout out to a good friend, mutual creator of mine, London's Notebook on TikTok. If you don't follow her already, please do. She's a phenomenal creator. I consider her a very good friend. I took this video from her. She gave me permission, so just want to give her a shout out. But yeah, let's watch it.
I got here about 11:30 that morning. Decided that I was gonna quit fishing. I came back through. I stopped at what they call a slough or a lake in the river. It's just a lake off of the river. So I pulled in there with my little boat. And maybe 5 minutes after getting into the slough, I heard a cry, a faint cry.
What time was that?
Probably around 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
It was broad daylight. Broad daylight. But I kept hearing the cry.
Was it down here or was it when you got in there?
It was when I got inside of the lake. Yeah.
You heard a faint cry.
Heard it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Then I stopped. I heard a gunshot. And then the crying stopped. And I said to myself, "Oh my God, I think that's not what I think's happened." There was another couple came in on a boat, and I asked them. They came in there because they heard the shot, and I asked them, "Did they hear the shot?" They said yes. I said, "Well, I heard a crying also, and then I heard a gunshot, and the crying stopped." I was going to leave, but I happened to look at the end of the lake, and there was a little opening that would take me to the back of that. So I decided just to go in there with my boat, and when I did that, that's when I found Mica's belongings laying up on the bank. So I got out of my boat, picked the belongings up, looked at them, put her cell phone was laying outside of the bag, and her glasses also. I picked those up, put them in the bag, looked around a little bit, got back into my boat, came back to the landing, loaded it up. I left out. The law was there. I stopped and talked with the law, asked them did they know a Mica Miller. "How do you know Mica Miller?" I said, "Oh, wait a minute now." I said, "I found her belongings." And I told him my story, about hearing the crying and hearing the gunshot and the crying stopped. He said, "Well, get out and talk to me for a minute." So I talked to him, and like I said, I told him my story. That's when he told me that, yes, there has been apparently a suicide happened at the river. I said, "Oh man, don't tell me that." But anyway, I said, "Well, how did y'all know? How did you know that it is?" He told me that Mica had called 911, told them she was getting ready to commit suicide. He was and that the reason she was calling them to tell them that she didn't want her parents worrying about her, where she would be at, if they could go ahead and find her.
He told you that it was Mica. When you gave him the belongings?
Yes, I gave him the belongings. He laid them up on his truck. They laid everything out on the truck.
Actually went in and saw everything when you found the belongings. And you say it was specific things that she had in there, like
Didn't really look at that until I came back and loaded my boat up.
Right.
That's when I really looked into it. And that's when I seen she had her license, her bank card. She had her keys in the bag. She had a little small Bible, all of her credit cards and bank cards, and a few receipts of some things.
Okay, so let's talk about what we just watched, okay? I'll move the mic a little bit closer. There we go. Let's talk about what we just watched. Okay. So, or listened to. The fisherman story, I'm not saying it's believable or unbelievable. That is for you to decide, but I'm going to tell you where I struggle with certain things. Okay. I struggle with the fact that he heard crying and a gunshot wound and he didn't call the police. He chose to go over there and he happens to find a bag. Again, after hearing crying and a gunshot wound, what could possibly be a crime scene, he picks up the bag of her stuff that's potentially evidence, and he takes it with him. And he's like, oh, I had this. Didn't call the police to tell him. The police get there and he talks to the police. He gives them the stuff. They clear him, whatever the case is. But he didn't call the police. He took a bag of evidence off there. And how far was Mica away from her body where she left her phone, she left her bag, she left her Bible, which you would think if she was going to take her life, she might have taken her Bible with her. Maybe not. I don't know. But that's a broad assumption. Don't take that for anything more than that. But he takes all of this stuff. He doesn't call the police. He doesn't search around for a body. He hears a gunshot wound, crying, and the crying stops. Somebody in the comments on YouTube says he didn't want to get involved. You don't want to get involved, but you want to get involved enough that you take her stuff. So were you planning on stealing it? Were you stealing a bag full of stuff? Where was her body? So anyways, her body gets found eventually. But I find this particular video challenging. I really do, because when I first listened to it, I didn't think too much of it. I mean, I thought like, that's kind of weird. Like, why would you take the bag? Why would you do that? But it's weird. Yeah, Mica was in the water, but she wasn't like deep in the water. You know, she was, my understanding is kind of near the shore. So why would you not see her? Why would you not look? Again, you hear a gunshot wound, you hear somebody crying, the crying stop, or gunshot wound. You hear a gunshot, you hear somebody crying, it stops, and you're just going to go steal their stuff? I mean, I'm not saying that's what he was doing. I just said that it's weird. You get in your boat to go see what's up. You don't want to get involved, but you want to get involved enough to go over there and take her stuff. Like, I struggle with it, y'all. And here's the thing about me. I tend to be very pragmatic. I try to find reasons as to why things are logical. I don't like to subscribe to the conspiracy theories. I don't like to subscribe to this big grand whatever scheme. But, and you give me one or two things, I can kind of give you, logical reasons to it. But at this point, between the license plates on the cars, which we'll talk about, the license plates on the cars, the timing of the cars, the lack of date stamps, the fact that her tattoo's missing on one of them, the fact that she's wearing different out clothes, the fact that, this video and so many more things, like when you have a dozen or more things, it's hard for me to be like, I can logically explain a dozen things that are weird, that make no sense. And so at this point, I don't know where I'm at. I mean, I think the most logical point is A to B. Mica pulled the trigger, but now there's questioning about the 911 call, whether or not it's AI or not. And, I don't know. I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that are being called into questions. And on top of that, somebody pointed out the sunglasses are different too, which, yep, forgot about that. Thank you. Like there's just a lot of things that are kind of strange. I just going on. Now, I'm trying to think what order I want to show you this. I think I want to show you this way. So I'm going to pull up. And again, if you're on TikTok, you need to jump over to YouTube to see this. If not, it's just going to be quiet for you. We're going to stop and talk about it because the way YouTube works, that I can't play this thing in its entirety. But Mica's sister was on Banfield last night talking, and I feel like it's worth y'all hearing that. I'm trying to put all this into kind of one thing. So let me play this for y'all real quick, and we'll come back and talk about it.
About that. In fact, we were going to try to start seeking a civil action attorney to consult with to see if some of the documents that we have found, or not found, but that Mica left in my care, as well as her family also had found, there seems to me that there could be a civil action, not against the police. The police, under the circumstances, responded, I think, appropriately under what was happening at the time. But there are other things that happened that are related to this church.
Okay, so I want to talk about that because, again, with YouTube, you have to stop so you don't do any type of violations or anything like that with them. But basically, what this is saying is that she believes that there could be an additional lawsuit against civil, and she begins to talk about or alludes to wrongdoing from the church, not mentioning JP specifically, but the church. Anyways, let's continue.
She was employed there. There's a question about whether she was appropriately paid for her time. She was the church itself was used by John Paul. I have letters that he wrote on church stationery to her, basically disparaging her. He went after everything that meant anything to this young woman. And I want to go back to the question about, what else this could have been if it.
Let me stop there because he talks about, she talks about disparaging letters written on church letterhead. He goes after everything that's important to her. That is classic. Like, I'm going to take you down. Again, I'm not qualified to diagnose anybody as a narcissist. I can say toxic, and I believe that JP Miller is a toxic individual. But these are all tactics of somebody who is a narcissist. Going after what you love, isolating you, making you feel worth. All of these things are all part of it. And so I just kind of want to make sure that we pointed that out.
If he didn't actually pull the trigger, this man, in my opinion, based on the documents, my conversations with Mica whenever she was alive, tell me that she was brainwashed by this man. He abused her in every possible way that there is. Financially, he abused her by taking away things, phones, access to money, took away her car, those types of things to try to gain control of her. Every time she tried to leave him, he would harass and stalk her to the point that she just felt like she had to give up and go back.
Okay, so let's stop there and talk about that real quick. She's talking about how he abused her in every possible way, talked about cutting off money, taking her car from her, berating her, stalking her, harassing her, everything that he could do to basically just stay there, because every time she tried to leave, he would come at her so hard that she felt she had no other choice to go back. So again, this goes back to, if in fact, we're going off of exactly what which we have to, because that's what the reports are. If we're going after what was said on these reports, then you have to assume that she took her life. But the question then becomes, why? Why did she take her life? So anyways, let's keep going.
And he abused her not only emotionally, financially, he abused her religiously in terms of her religion and her relationship with God. He demeaned her in every aspect that he could. There is a video of a sermon of him that I was just so taken aback, and my jaw hit the ground, because I felt like I had come across the answer of maybe why she would have taken it this far. And that is, he had her convinced that this was what she should do. In my opinion, I believe he had her convinced that it would be the only way that she could escape him to some degree. I believe that he had her convinced all the way. I believe that he used every tactic and tool that he could. The mounds of paperwork that I have is incredible. She collected a lot of things. She kept a notebook. I have boxes of journals, which, by the way, he's made 100 phone calls looking for.
Okay, I want to stop there real quick. So she's talking about how he used his position in the church to berate her and to abuse her and to basically get her back into quote unquote submission. Those were not her words, but that's what I'm using. But what I really want to talk about is the fact that she's got, again, mounds of documents, tons of journals, boxes of journals, which he's apparently made multiple phone calls trying to get those back from her. She documented everything. So again, here's the thing about it. It's one thing if the person has a couple things. You have one journal about something somebody did. Okay, maybe that could be fake. But when you have multiple police reports, multiple journals, multiple, so much documentation about what you had to endure, that goes far beyond. And I think that's the concern, because, go for JP, is that he's more concerned about his reputation. I mean, they mentioned the reputation in that really terribly written C&D that they put out there. He's worried about his reputation. There was a situation when Mica first posted that video talking about domestic violence, domestic abuse, that she doesn't mention him at all in this at all. And he decides it's about him. So maybe that tells us more about him than we knew, but he's projecting it onto himself, which, again, foreshadowing. I'm telling you it's foreshadowing, because we're going to talk about something really, really interesting in a minute. But he's so worried about his reputation. I'm sorry, going back, lost my train of thought there for a second, got it back. But the one where he called the police and saying that she was texting him, her family was texting him, they were harassing him. So they look into it, and they find out that by looking at the video that he's not mentioned, doesn't even allude to him. So there's no crime there. They ask for copies of the text messages. He doesn't have any to provide. So there you go. He's more concerned about reputation than anything else. But let's continue.
As I understand, and he is constantly trying to stay in front of this, spin some some story, and I think we have enough here that.
With that evidence, I'm curious. I'm sorry to jump in, Regina, but Sierra, do you think you can shed some light on why your sister told the police that John Paul had been grooming her since the age of 10, but that her, her involvement with the church only began at age 14 in a youth program? Do you know what the difference is between those two claims?
If I had to assume, I would guess that she probably meant 2010, not 10. Since 2010 would be a better estimate of what she might have meant.
Yeah, I don't think
that
she
lines up
ever
with being
said
age 14.
10 years old.
I want to pause on that one real quick, because that's a really important correction that that's been made, and a logical correction at that. So as we know, the other day it came out that Mica Miller had said to a police officer that she had known JP Miller since she was 10. So we've been going between 10 and 14, because we'd heard 14. JP says 15, because I guess it's a little better than 14 in his mind. But here's what's important. What her sister is saying on this, because that's her sister, what her sister is saying is, sorry, I was looking at a comment. Somebody, I'm going to just, let's go ahead and just shame this person right here. We're just going to publicly put them out here for that person, for y'all to say what you want to say. Anyway, we have a John Paul Miller stand in here. Because here's well, let me finish this first, and then we'll address the comment that this person's making. That she meant 2010. 2010. Anyway, so real quick, what we're looking at here with this comment, because we like to do this, is something that you call, assuming that this is really a woman in the comments, not a fake name, not a troll profile. With YouTube, that's not typically common. So I'm going to assume. What you're looking at here is something called internalized misogyny. Somebody that is so far down the rabbit hole, and I'm going to guess probably a member of the church who believes this cultish type activity, believes that she is subservient probably to men, etc. So we're going to put it up there, just let people see her for what it is, because I already got 1,100 people in this live, so it's going to probably get tens of thousands of views. So we're just going to let it happen. At the end of the day, though, let me just address this real quick with this individual. You have a woman here that is standing a man who has on stage admitted adultery in documents. So she's standing somebody who cheats on their spouse and thinks that that's okay. If nothing else, if JP Miller has done nothing else that he's been accused of, he has cheated on every woman he's been with, every wife he's been with. And even while he has a mistress, he still looks for more women. And look, I'll give him this. He might have some type of sex addiction. And that's if so, he should get help for that. Absolutely. Anyways, I don't normally do that in YouTube, but that one kind of pissed me off because she was doing like the leave Britney alone thing, whatever. But so let's just finish this. But basically, what they're saying is that they think that she meant 2010 because that would have lined up with the right time when she was 14. My guess is if you're in a situation where you've called the, and again, I'm not trying to speak for Mica. I promise you I'm not, but I'm just trying, again, I try to find the logical answers. This is going off of what the sister, Sierra has said. And to me, 2010 would line up with her being about 14 years old because she was born in 1994. So that lines up. That was about the time they moved there. So I think that's what she meant. But if you have a cop there, you're being stalked, you're being harassed to the point that you want to file a police report, you might be a little flustered. You might be a little shaken up and stuff like that. So anyways, that being said, let's finish this up real quick.
No, she's consistently said around 14, 15 years old. I've never heard her ever say 10 years old.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find.
All right. So that's over for that one. Now, here's the next thing I want to share with y'all. And this is the one. And if you're on TikTok, I promise you, you want to jump over for what I'm about to show you to my YouTube. In fact, I'll even give you a second to do it because I promise you, you're going to want to see this. This is a very interesting excerpt from a sermon. And again, I'm not qualified to call this man a narcissist. Somebody in my comments said that they are, and she did. So going off of that, and having been raised by a narcissistic parent, which is, by the way, why I wrote this book, I can tell you that one thing that they like to do is, somebody just corrected me with my math. Yes, my math was terrible. You're right. 2010 would be 16. You're right, Christine. You're right. I did crappy math there. So thank you for correcting. Anyways, for those of you who want to jump onto YouTube, name on YouTube is Justin on TikTok, same as here. Easiest way to get it, go to justinontiktok.com, which is the link in my bio. Go to my picture, scroll underneath my picture. You'll see all my socials. Far right is YouTube. But one thing that narcissists do is projection, right? They project things on. And let me give you just a real quick example. So when my mom and I first went no contact, I called up my family members who I was not allowed to have a relationship with because that would have been disloyal. All right. And I promise you this relates to what I'm saying. I'm just waiting for people to jump over who want to see this. I don't want them to miss it. So I'm going to give you all this anecdote and then we're going to play this. But one thing that would happen is my mom would tell me stories about my aunts or my uncle or my half sister or my father or her best friend or her former best friend. And what I learned from these stories, and I have a whole playlist of things like that. So if you want to watch them, that's on my TikTok, and even some of them are on here. But what I learned was that the same stories my mom would tell me about these people, they would tell me the same stories when I asked them, except for all of these different people, some of which you don't even know each other. They were all the victims in my mom's story. She victimized them, even though she was the victim by all of them in her story. And it became much more believable when you heard their side that it was truth. That being said, let me play this clip from a sermon that he did. Before I do, yes, I know Rihanna, she does, or they do. So we're talking about, hold on one second. I'm giving somebody more credit than they need. I'm just getting, again, if you're on TikTok, go to YouTube because you're going to watch this. I'll give you all a little more time so I can address this person. I know this person is loving their 5 minutes of glory and we're going to give it to them. But to get to you, it's just on TikTok on YouTube. You can go to link in my bio under my picture. Let's talk about this. Again, Angelina, I have explained to you. Here's the thing. I'm going to give it to you in one sentence. Okay? I'm going to give it to you in one sentence. You have a pastor that breaks the 10 commandments, at least one of them. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Okay? He's breaking commandments and he's the leader of a church. And he apologized to the church when he cheated on his wife the first time. He apologized to the church, not the people involved. And then he continues to do it. So let that be your man of God. Last thing you're going to hear from you. Now, hopefully if I have enough people come over here, let me play this.
This so that you can be encouraged that God can use you. So for the past 4 weeks, I've had the most horrible battle and horrible time of my entire life. I've never, ever, not even close, been through what I'm going through right now in life. Not even close. Horrible. I mean, horrible, so bad. I'm seeing a psychiatrist every week. I'm on 900 milligrams of lithium. I'm seeing a counselor every week. I'm going to inner healing. I'm going to deliverance 3 times a week with pastors in the area. I'm doing everything I can just to be able to get out of bed.
Okay. Did y'all hear that? I know if you're on TikTok, you didn't hear that, but did you hear it? I'm going to play it again I'm going to play it again. And for the record, Angelina will no longer be joining us in the chat. She can still watch the chat, but she can no longer join us. Let me rewind this again for y'all to hear it in case you missed it. In case you missed it.
I'm telling you this so that you can be encouraged that God can use you. So for the past 4 weeks, I've had the most horrible battle and horrible time of my entire life. I've never, ever, 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 not even close, been through what I'm going through right now in life. Not even close. Horrible. I mean, horrible, so bad. I'm seeing a psychiatrist every week. I'm on 900 milligrams of lithium. I'm seeing a counselor every week. I'm going to inner healing. I'm going to deliverance 3 times a week with pastors in the area. I'm doing everything I can just to be able to get out of bed. I'm so depressed. I want to die. I'm battling suicidal thoughts. I have unforgiveness, hatred, demons coming out of me. Horrible. I'm in such a bad place. I spent my Friday night at Kelly's house with women over 50 years old watching them play bunco.
That's basically the gist of this. That's basically the gist of it. What do y'all think in the comments? Again, and if you are on TikTok, I will make this a video. Don't worry. I will make this a video. What do y'all think about this? He's on lithium. Suicidal thoughts. Can't get out of bed. Depressed. Sounds like all the same things that were wrong with Mica, a woman who, by the way, had no issue, no diagnosed issue until 2017, the same year that she married him. Okay? Now, there's a few other things to show you. A few other things to show you. There's not really much more of that, but there's a couple things that came out. I want to show you all this next before I read you something that's going to be kind of exclusive.
Away.
So this right here is an insight. This was a video that Mica had taken when she was trying to get him away. This kind of just gives you a little bit of an insight. It's a small clip. It's short, but just one. So hold on.
Walk away.
I'll show you the pictures.
Do you want to go to jail?
They'll be on Facebook in a few hours.
Alrighty, you'll be in jail in a few hours. Walk away.
So that's one. The other thing is this one. And this one I haven't even got to watch fully. I just saw it was up right before I got on and quickly grabbed it and put it on here. So let me find that one real quick. This is apparently 6 minutes. We don't have to watch the whole 6 minutes of it, but might have to. I'm struggling here, guys.
JP. You all right, man? You okay? Huh? You okay? What's the matter? Huh? What's the matter?
Switch my medication. Makes me go crazy.
Is somebody helping you?
I think Mark's coming to get me.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was going to see Jesus.
Okay. But you got Mark coming?
Somebody called him, I think.
Okay.
I feel like he's inviting me. I can't
So-
want to see Jesus. Because he had to bite me everywhere.
Is your medication something they gave you?
Yes, I'm a drug.
Yeah.
There's some new doses or something.
Can you want me to make sure Mark's coming?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I don't have my phone on me. I don't have my phone.
But somebody's called him, right?
Yeah, the lady across the street called.
Okay. All right. Hey, JP.
Good.
I think Mark is coming.
Mm-hmm.
I had him try to get in touch with me again to make sure. Is that okay?
You know the ants.
Huh?
My ants fight me. There's ants all over me.
Feels like there's ants on you. There's no ants on you though. It's just, you know, maybe that's how you feel, but there's none on you. There's none on the grass. What kind of medicine do they have you on? All right, well, somebody's going to come, okay? Do I need to call 911? Do I need to call the medics? Yeah, we got somebody coming. You want some water or anything? You want some water? Yeah, he said okay if you got a little bottle of.
For the record, guys, there's like 3 more minutes of this. There's 3 more minutes of this. Do y'all need me to share it, or have y'all seen enough? I'll share the rest of it if y'all want to. I can share it if y'all want me to. It's up to you. I'm going to let y'all make the decision. People are like, no, that's good. We're good. I can't stand the high-pitched voice. So here's the last thing I want to share with you before I have to go. I was sent something very interesting today by somebody who's known J.P. Miller for a very, very long time. I can't read everything that's in this, but I'm going to tell you. Let me get rid of this thing. Let me move that from the stage. There we go. Okay. I can't read everything in this, but here's what it said. I want to say, okay, sorry. JP took Mica's car and again, this was sent to me. These are not my words. These are words somebody else sent to me. So when his lawyer who sends global cease and desist see it, he can know these are not my words. I'm reading it from something that was sent to me. The car that was given to his son, we believe JP paid taxes on the light colored. Okay, listen, this is very important. We believe JP paid the taxes on the light colored car, meaning the white or lavender Honda Accord, so his son could drive it. Mica had to get a new car, which is the one she was driving. She would have no reason to renew any tags for her new but used vehicle, which is the Honda Civic. JP also added his son's to her insurance policy, causing her bank account to be deducted a large amount of money that she didn't have. I'm hoping all of this will be cleared up publicly, but want you to have some insight because I truly believe, well, that part doesn't matter. See, they want the correct information to be heard. I was friends with JP since I was 17 years old. I know many things. I went to his dad's Bible college with him. I watched him stalk and assault his oldest baby's mom. He's always had these behaviors. Then when he and Allie were together, we did dinners together. It was so hard for me to see him hurt her, especially when he announced that he was going to be with Mica. I was done with him and left his church. I didn't like Mica just for the fact that she was part of the reason why Allie and JP's relationship had ended, which it needed to end because of how toxic it was. But I was so angry with JP, Mica, and the church. They were all okay with it. Anyways, Mica was a sweet soul and it truly was a godly woman. I hate that this tragedy has happened. I have said from the beginning of this that I don't believe John Paul was there with her in North Carolina. John Paul has been known to hand her a firearm and bullets in the past. Okay, let me read that. John Paul has been known to hand her a firearm and bullets in the past. JP is a weak man that will lay firearms out for someone who is at their lowest. His mind manipulating games are his best quality. John Paul pushed her to feel like she had no other option. I have prayed that out of all of this, his true character would be displayed for the world to see. And I'm so glad that you and other big accounts on TikTok started covering this case. I wish I could say more, but the family is planning to release a statement today. I was told that this morning. They do have so much. They do have so much and are planning civil cases. And Mica also said he was turning stuff into Mica also said that they were turning stuff to IRS, and JP knew this. So it's all bigger. That's what we have. Okay? That's what was sent to me today by somebody in there. And this is why I keep saying, guys, that this is far from over. That this is far from over. And here's the thing. We can go back and we look at what happened to Mica. We can look at it and say that it was a self-unaliving and leave it at that. But what you're looking at a minimum is church abuse, domestic abuse, which is financial, allegedly financial, sexual, physical, and definitely emotional abuse. You're looking at adultery. You're looking at possible corruption within certain jurisdictions. You're looking at suicide awareness. You're looking at so many things. In this case, not dissimilar from the Murdochs, as I've said before many times, that this case has so many layers. So many layers. Somebody's asked me if I went over the vehicle at the pawn shop, and I didn't. Let me try to do this real quick from my notes that I took earlier. So I don't have the pictures up, and I don't have much more time because I got to go pick up my daughter. But that being said, here's the thing. They haven't done. Let me go back to look at this. Okay. So things that we know haven't been done from what's been shared or not been shared. They did no cell phone pings on JP or Mica's phone. They didn't question JP on anything. No autopsy, no toxicity, or no toxicology, sorry. No checking for water in her lungs. People have talked about Operation Tarnish Badge. A lot of y'all have asked me about this, okay? A lot of y'all have asked me about Operation Tarnish Badge. And what I keep saying is that it's from back in 2007. I can't report on something that's almost 20 years old. But what I can say is that there's a long history of corruption. And apparently, there's a lot of people who are local to that area that still believe that corruption exists. Okay? And there's more to it, guys. And we'll talk more about it. But his truck, his truck was seen at her apartment on March 22nd. Again, she wants nothing to do with him. There was a power of attorney. Y'all have probably seen the health power of attorney, right? So that he could commit her or whatever. He had her sign that in December of 2022, but he didn't file it until March 22nd, the day that he showed up at her house. Okay? People are saying that it was an old video. It doesn't matter if the video is old. It doesn't matter if the video is old. It doesn't matter how old it is. It can't be that old because they got married in 2017. So it can't be that old. She did have a black Civic. If y'all haven't heard about the license plate debacle on it, the license plates on the Civic that we have seen was, I believe, 301 AKH. That tag is expired, and it doesn't even match a Honda Accord. It matches the vehicle of a woman who is now deceased, and that vehicle is a 2003 Chrysler Town & Country minivan. That is what the tag number is on what we've seen, okay? Now, here's the things about the car. At 12:30 p.m., his truck was picked up heading back from Charleston through Mullins, which is not the fastest route back to Myrtle Beach. The truck was then picked up at 2:22 in Myrtle Beach. The truck is registered to the church, by the way. So there's a couple things about that. Again, I'm not trying to get into conspiracy theories. I'm just putting this out there. But could somebody else? The truck's got tinted windows. The truck isn't registered to him. So he's got 29 vehicles registered to the church. Somebody said it was the old license plate for the minivan. Well, it didn't pull up. The thing is, maybe so, Romina, but it didn't pull up. It doesn't pull up a Honda, is the point. And you would think that they would be on it and have that updated. You would think. Anyways, the gas station she was at in Mullins was out of the way of the state park. It's also apparently with the timeline based on people who were there, Kyler specifically, that he could have potentially made it to the park at the same time. The tags call a lot of things into question, but the other thing somebody asked is about and I don't have the pictures up to show you guys, but in the pictures of the pawn shop where she's at, as you see the parking lot, there are two things that you can kind of see that are very interesting. One of those things is it looks like there's both the black Civic and a whitish colored Honda Accord in the parking lot, the same one that she had that he hasn't given back to her. The one, by the way, that the taxes were paid on. Okay. The taxes were paid on the car that wasn't in her possession. Okay. Just so y'all are aware. But not only that, but it looks like in one of the video when you, or the screenshot where you see her standing at the counter or walking in, behind her, it looks like you can see the grill of a truck. And with owning an F-150 myself, to me, what the front of that grill looks like either an F-150 or an older Toyota Tundra. That is what that grill looks like to me. On top of that, we talked about the necklace, so that's not really overly relevant. On top of that, his body was not released to him until April 30th. I think that's important to know. I think that's pretty much what I have for that. The last thing I'll say is the fact that there's been no body cam footage released. If you remember, Alec Murdaugh body cam footage was released pretty darn quickly. The ME on the case, Dr. Richard Johnson, or I like to call him Dickie J, he was not on call. He was not on call. He was not the person registered for this. He wasn't working that day and was not on call. Okay, so Romina brings up a really good point. This is you have a great point here. The old lady died and left the minivan to the church, which is not a stretch. The old license plate could have been switched around. Absolutely, it could have. But Mica, with the Civic, Mica bought the Civic while she wasn't with him. I think it's disconnected. So I don't know. That's a lot. What you're saying is logical, though. But that's what I got for the day, guys. That's what I got. There's a few more things, but there's some discrepancies that are interesting. I'm not making any accusatory anything, but I'm just saying. Somebody said without good attorneys, none of this will matter. I agree. You're not going to have any criminal suits that come from her death. I don't believe. I believe you'll have a civil suit at most. But what I think you might have is things come from possible financial crimes. You could possibly see that. Anyways, guys, I have to run. I have to go pick up my daughter. I will post a video for the ones of y'all who missed it of the lithium thing. But other than that, guys, I will see y'all. Very soon. Thank you guys for tuning in. And like I said, just a quick reminder, if you're interested in purchasing either one of my books or any merch, justontiktok.com. Everything is on sale, Mother's Day sale until Sunday night at 11:30 Central Time. Y'all have a great one, and I will see y'all soon.